Summertime's here, and so is what my fiance likes to call my little boy hair. As a YouTuber, sometimes you have this habit of trying to beat the trolls to the punch with a bit of self-deprecation. I mean, maybe you guys wouldn't have noticed, but the thing is, I normally love to wear those cute little woolly beanies all the time. Because it's finally starting to heat up outside, I'm starting to notice my fragrances become a bit more fresh oriented. These are the 5 fragrances I can't wait to wear this summer. Fragrances for the warm weather tend to be a little more citrus in nature. They're not quite as sweet, spicy, heavy, smoky, all those other things that don't work when your skin heats up. I want to get this first one out of the way. It's M7 Fresh. All right. Yeah, I know, guys. What are you doing, James, you silly goose? You can't buy this anymore. I know you can't. M7 is an iconic fragrance by Yves Saint Laurent. It is a Western interpretation of agarwood, which is a Middle Eastern fragrance note that's used in all kinds of fragrances over on that part of the world. M7 made it kind of cool to wear it over in North America, and I guess Europe a little bit. But it was made even cooler to wear with M7 Fresh. Because not only do you have oud, you have lemon too. It's this really nice, accessible, wearable, fresh fragrance that hasn't really been replicated since, unless if a clone house has already done it that I'm not aware of. This is very hard to find, but you can get M7 Oud Absolu, which is a flanker of the original M7, but not a summer fragrance. Not in the traditional sense. Maybe you can do a spray on the back of your foot in the evening. This one you can wear year-round, really. So if you're a fan of M7, if you like slightly Middle Eastern perfumery with a bit of a citrus kick, that's exactly what this is. I picked this one up on a Facebook fragrance swap group. It's hard to say. And that's where I would probably encourage you guys to buy it as well, but buy your own risk. Make sure you get people to vouch for whoever you're buying, so you're most likely buying from a reliable source, or as reliable as possible. Now moving on to fragrances you can buy. Being designer fragrances, these are gonna be pretty readily available in your big department stores, in your duty frees, in your drugstores in a lot of cases. Number 2 is by Chanel, and it is not a Décision Blanche, it is a L'Homme Sport Cologne. Now, this one's a confusing one because cologne is a word that a lot of guys will use to describe all of these fragrances for men equals cologne. So when you say, oh yeah, it's a L'Homme Sport Cologne, people think it's the original L'Homme Sport a lot of the times, but there's an actual other fragrance that comes in a clear bottle and it says cologne on the bottom. There's also Cologne Sport, depending on when you purchased it. Regardless, it takes Allure Homme. It has that little bit of spiciness from the original, but really just amps up all the citrus qualities. So you're left with a pretty purist citrus fragrance with a bit of bite. So there is that spiciness there. It's not just lemonade splashed on you. There is a little bit of depth to it. And that depth is what differs it from your other standard citrus fragrances like Dior Homme Cologne. This one's a cool one because it's extremely summery, but it has that little bit of difference that makes it different. Very easy to wear and doesn't smell quite like the original L'Homme Sport. So you might stand out a little bit, but make sure you reapply halfway through the day because it's not that strong. Oh, I think I see a smash like. Number 3 on this list is by Valentino. Just gotta wipe off that plaque on the front. Uomo Acqua. I think I got a spoiler alert for you guys. All these are flankers. These are all different versions of original release fragrances. And obviously this one is no exception, okay? Valentino Uomo was a hazelnut-based fragrance that kind of smelled like Dior Homme a little bit, or at least one component of Dior Homme accentuated. This one takes things into a different direction. I immediately thought, okay, it's another version of Dior Homme Sport. Cool, dude. And I love the bottle. And when I purchased this, it was because I was going to go see my girlfriend at the time. Were we girlfriend and boyfriend? I'll have to ask her. I was staying on a cruise ship with Leslie, and I wanted to get a signature fragrance that would remind me of that vacation. And that's exactly what this fragrance does. And that is also why I'm looking forward to wearing it. I want to relive those cool memories as much as possible. So just so you know, guys, this is not just Valentino Uomo plus citrus, maybe a bit of ginger. There's tomato leaf in here. It's a really, really cool note, a really fresh, slightly aromatic feel to it. And that is what really set it apart at the duty free. I tried a whole bunch of fragrances, some that I was kind of familiar with, some that I wasn't. This one really stood out to me. This one has a nice duality of being extremely luxurious, but still playful, which is why it was great for a cruise ship, because you gotta suit up from time to time. But then again, most of your time is just getting blackout on the pool deck. Not that I know from experience. I already mentioned it, believe it or not. It is Dior Homme Sport by Dior. Now I should go into a little bit of detail on this one. What I do love about the company is they're pretty open and transparent about new formulations of a fragrance. They don't just low-key switch it up on us and hope we don't notice. This is the 2012 version. It's not from 2012, but you can tell by the bottle design that's what it is. And the prominent difference between this and the more recent releases is it still has iris. It still uses the Dior Homme iris that makes this a little more metrosexual than your average citrus fragrance. But that being said, because of the overabundance of those fresh masculine notes, I think it's a little more balanced on the masculine feminine scale than the original. And there is something attractive about a man who's okay to be a little bit of a woman. If you wear this proudly and confidently, you'll get compliments quite often. And I do. But again, this is kind of a discontinued fragrance, right? Because you got to get the new version of Dior Homme Sport, which isn't as good, right? Wrong. It's also quite good. I used to have both versions. I had both formulations of Dior Homme Sport, and I liked both in different ways, but for the same reason as well. Even though they took out the iris and they put in some blood orange, I believe, everything else is kind of similar. So it still has that same character, that same sillage a little bit. It still smells like Dior Homme Sport to me. Personal thing to me. And the last reason I'm so excited to wear this in the summer is because I never get to wear it any other time of the year. If the weather is a bit cooler or mild, I'll never wear this. I'd rather wear Dior Homme Eau for Men, or even the original Dior Homme. Dior Homme Sport always gets reserved for the heat, the hot weather. And considering I don't have the old crushed ice fragrance anymore, Dior Homme Cologne, this is my go-to summer Dior fragrance. But it's not number one on this list. No, 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 no. My number one most anticipated summer fragrance in the designer category is from a company that I already talked about in this list. These are kind of the big players, if you noticed. These are like the main powerhouses of designer fragrances. We're not here talking about Mont Blanc, okay? No disrespect. Even my boy Mugler. Yeah, great fragrances, but summer? Come on. Cryptomint? Maybe. Prada? Pretty good house. Pretty nice fragrances, but let's be real. Prada Lunorosa Sport? Not very sporty to me. This number one fragrance is a bit of a frosty type of fragrance, okay? And by that I mean, it has a frosted glass bottle. It's a bit of a crushed ice vibe. It has a bit of lavender, a bit of mint, a bit soapy in the beginning. It's a masculine fragrance. It's a flanker. It's brand new this year. One of my newest fragrances that I recently picked up. Very excited to share with you my number one by Yves Saint Laurent, YSL Y Eau Fraîche. Bruh, this is a banger. I love wearing this fragrance. In fact, it is my scent of the day, but because I applied it originally like 6 hours ago, I want to do it again. Ooh, lemon, icy, ginger. Once it mellows down a little bit, you get some more of that lavender and the mint. Very well-rounded fragrance, very clean, masculine, super fun to wear. But like all these lists, let's see if I actually end up wearing it at all. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you're a poopy head, and you know what? You made it this far, so I love you anyway. Stay tuned for the high-end niche version of this list next week. It's gonna be great. I promise. And I may or may not have the same hairdo. If you've already enjoyed this list, I mean, it was okay. But this list, this is like a big list. It's a good one. So, there you go.